What's up peeps, how's it going? Toofty here. Today we have the second Thunder Mountain map and we're looking at some cool spots where you can build your sentry gun. As always, this isn't a you must build in these spots kind of thing, this is more of a here's some spots I like to try out, feel free to take some inspiration. But yeah, second map, there's loads of awesome places to try out. I even ended up finding some new ones myself whilst making this video. So without further ado, let's jump in and I hope you enjoy. So as always, let's take a very quick look at the map in its entirety. This is where the kart begins. It starts its journey going across this bridge, round these bends, hits the first control point, through this tunnel which has some really interesting positions you can build in, and then finally down the slope to the end, and at this point the blue team have won. I've actually decided to split this map into 3 parts. There are obviously 2 big, sides of this middle building, but I'm also going to talk about what you can do in and around the middle building as well. So jumping into the first part of this map, the blue team will be spawning in and coming in from these directions. I don't know if there are many kind of super popular positions for this first area. I do see a lot of sentry guns in this building here, but there aren't really that many cliche positions, I don't think. So yeah, I'm not going to talk about this spot in here, it's not where I favour building. Instead I'm going to talk a little bit about this position here on this kind of raised ledge. I've had mixed luck building here, but I'm kind of very stubborn in the fact that I kind of think it should be a good position, so I'm going to keep trying it, and occasionally it works quite well. What I like about this position is that it covers both the main route through, but it also covers the kind of back route through, which is the route I'd take if I was attacking. I tend to build on the corner, but there are a bunch of other similar areas around here which you can try out to see kind of what works for you. So the second spot I wanted to talk about here was inside this area here. This one again I have mixed feelings about. I've seen this position be really successful, but it's kind of one of those spots where you really have to tortoiseshell your sentry gun. It's not really my playstyle, but I'm going to talk a little bit about that today anyway, because it's really good I think, especially for teleporting your team in. One thing you do have to bear in mind though if you're building up here, if you put it too far out to the window it becomes quite vulnerable, so you want to put it a little bit further back, in which case there's a blind area beneath the window where your sentry gun can't see, so again it's kind of vulnerable from attack from that angle as well. Okay, so the first thing I do here is I put my teleporter down in this corner here. Really good for getting those teammates right into the front line. And then I'm putting my sentry gun just on this ledge here. It's facing the direction the main threat's going to come through, but it also covers behind you as well. And then I'm just putting a dispenser up kind of out the way. And the nice thing is you've got this huge metal pack just at your feet, which should keep you going. As soon as the round starts, I head to the back flank because normally 1 or 2 decent players tend to want to come around that way, so I'm just kind of checking for spies and things. Turns out there's nothing, so I'm back on my sentry gun. I'm just keeping an eye out both ways. If you do have someone come in from that back route, you can sort of lure them in, let the sentry gun deal with them. I'm just keeping moving, keeping everything healed up. In this case I do end up going down, but sometimes you get kind of a second chance to rebuild in this hut here. Especially as in this case, the teleporter's still up, so the teammates are coming in. I've got a chance here to get the sentry gun back up and kind of continue to do a hold. In this example, I put it back out on this ledge and I kind of put it more in the middle so it's facing both ways. But yeah, this is just one of those spots I really like, even though it doesn't necessarily do amazingly. I think it's just, holding this first point is hard and it's very rare to actually hold it for an entire round. So yeah, just getting your teammates in, doing as good a job as you can is perfectly fine. So yeah, the nice thing about this second spot is you can tuck your teleporter just behind these boxes here. For me there was one occasion where the team pushed right by the teleporter and didn't realise it was there, so yeah, it can be a nice spot to hide it in. I think nowadays most people check, but it's still worth trying it out. Dispenser I'm just putting down anywhere, and the sentry gun I'm kind of putting, like I said, not poking out the window so it's drawing too much attention, but just far enough forward so it covers the car as it comes round. You do find that it's going to eventually draw some attention and be under a lot of pressure, so you really do have to keep on top of it. There are some sight lines to it from the other side of the map, which is something I don't particularly like. You can't stray too far from your sentry gun because, a soldier or a sniper could come from the other side and quite happily take it out. Again, you're teleporting your team into this room, they're helping to hold this first point, so it can be a kind of interesting place to build in. And again, in this case, it goes down, but my team is still here, so I throw up another one in an attempt to try and kind of keep this hold going. So moving on to the middle part of this map, and this is where things get really interesting. There's a couple of spots here that I think are really strong. So the first one's in the tunnel, and it's just on this corner here. It covers obviously the route forward, and it gets all the way to the stairs, but it also covers the kind of drop down to the left. You find a lot of enemies come down there, and the moment they come down, the sentry gun will shoot at them, and they're not a problem at all. The only tricky thing with this is getting it set up in time. If they've taken the first point, you may have been killed with your base, so you have to really kind of get to the tunnel quickly and get set up. So the second spot I wanted to mention was actually directly above the tunnel, and it's in this room here. Again, another tricky one to kind of get set up in time, but if you do manage it, it can be quite a powerful spot to try out. I tend to build, so basically the sentry guns covering both angles with equal prominence each way. So yeah, let's jump in and take a look at these two spots. So yeah, finding some really nice footage for this was quite easy because this position does tend to do really well. So I'm putting my dispenser down first and then the sentry gun at this corner. Now I've actually put it down a little bit too far forward, so I'm actually going to bring that back a bit. It's very important that it does cover that drop down to the left, else you're completely vulnerable to that side and you're going to go down quite quickly. So I fixed that. You've got the metal kind of opposite to help you get set up. Teleporter is a nice bonus, get that down as soon as you can obviously. The dispenser's kind of in the way a little bit there, so I do eventually move that. I was in a bit of a rush, so I was just trying to get things down very quickly. As you can see, it's covering the drop down really nicely. These guys drop down and taken care of immediately. Also, anyone pushing the cart around the corner or trying to use those stairs, the sentry just takes care of them really nicely. Here it does go down, but because I've got my team here, I can get it set up again. Obviously just trying to get it leveled up as quickly as I can, and as soon as I'm good I'll try and get it back into that position, but I kind of want to wait for a safe opportunity to move it when the pressure's kind of chilled out a little bit. A little point about the Frontier Justice actually whilst I'm using it here, it is really useful if you do escape with your life. It really helps you out in getting your base set up again, because you can kind of defend yourself on your own and fend off enemies. You don't have to rely so much on having teammates around you to protect you, so that's another reason I really enjoy using this gun. So yeah, I managed to move the gun back to where I like it. We've actually got like 6 or 7 minutes on the clock, but we've got a really nice hold on this corner. And in this case, I think we do actually hold for the rest of the game. So yeah, this kind of proves that this position does have potential. So this second one, not quite as strong for me, but still pretty awesome. So as you can see from this footage, I do actually escape with my life from that first control point area, which is, great. I've got some revenge shots to help me get set up. It means it gives me a chance to basically get set up in this room, which a lot of enemies are going to be flooding through in, no time at all. So I'm putting the sentry gun facing kind of this way here, so it can quite easily look each way. You've got a huge metal pack behind you, so you don't really have to worry about dispenser right away. Just putting a teleporter up, and then whilst I'm waiting, I'm kind of just putting pressure down this corridor here. If you get a couple of shots on them before they get to your sentry gun, it means they're really weak and the sentry gun can take them out really easily. So obviously the big downside to this position is that it's not actually protecting the cart. If the enemy's smart, they could actually just, go ahead and push right on past. But if it got to that, if you noticed the cart was kind of getting close to the control point, you can just grab your sentry gun and sort of reposition it. It's just a matter of making sure you keep an eye out for that. Okay, so yeah, the second part of this map, again, loads of spots you can try out. One of the ones I see probably most often is just outside the tunnel on the right as you go out here. This is actually quite a nice one, one I've used myself a couple of times and I've quite enjoyed. The other obvious position is kind of right at the very end, either side of the control point. It's a very kind of campy spot, not one I have much interest in myself. I'm sure that kind of works as a last resort quite nicely. But yeah, we're not going to talk about either of them today. Instead, the positions I've chosen to kind of share with you is, the first one is very unusual, but it can be a lot of fun to try out, and it's just on this ledge here. It kind of stops anyone flanking around that top corridor, and it also has a fairly decent cover over the main area. There are a few areas that it's kind of blind to underneath, but it does provide really good support to your team, generally speaking. The second spot is one of those positions I first started using when I started playing this map, and it's been pretty reliable for me. It's just in this little hut here, looking out over the track. The nice thing about building here is that as the blue team are pushing down the hill, they think we're near the end, they can't see a sentry gun, and then they're getting shot at from behind, so it can have that surprise element. Yeah, it's worked quite well for me as kind of a last resort. So yeah, what I'm doing here is I'm putting my sentry gun against that wall there. The reason I'm doing it in that weird direction is because you're going to have enemies come through that doorway as well. You need your sentry gun to support you so you can defend from that doorway. I'm putting the dispenser in this room behind, and also the teleport goes up there somewhere too. It's mainly for yourself to get back to your base, but you know, there might be snipers or what have you who might want to use it to get a good position on the enemy. So you're going to be most vulnerable from enemies coming through that doorway, so it's just a matter of keeping an eye out. If you're further back like I'm standing here, the enemies tend to focus on you, not realising there's a sentry gun around the corner, and so you can kind of lure them in. But yeah, taking shots at any enemies and then letting the sentry gun just cover the main area underneath. It should see the track quite well, it's just a few spots underneath it can't quite hit. In this example here, a cheeky scout does actually manage to push on past, so I have to run after him to try and take him out. But that's cool, you kind of got a good overview of the area, and so if you see this happening, you can get involved where you need to. There's a clip at the end here I left. This NG built directly next to mine, which is always lovely. I thought this was a great opportunity to show why I don't build the sentry gun any further forward, because there's a really nice sightline for snipers to use. As you can see, it took out the NG here, and slowly but surely he's taking out the sentry gun too, and I'm just going to watch because you shouldn't build next to people. Rant over. Okay, so the very last one I'll show you is this one in here. It can be really useful, yeah, like I said, if the enemy's pushing quite quickly and you need a last resort, you kind of get the element of surprise, and anyone jumping down or pushing the cart down will get shot at from behind, and if they don't know it's there, they won't stand much of a chance. The nice thing is, once you are set up, and this is how I like to play, you can actually run around, scout out, help your teammates out, you know, with your shotgun. You can leave it there, it's not too far away. If it gets sapped, you can just jump back down. So yeah, it's just kind of acting as a last line of defense. So yeah, that's kind of just a taster for you really, because there are so many positions you can try. So many I haven't had a chance to cover in this video, a few which I'm showing in this clip at the end here. Just wanted to say a very quick thank you to Ezraz for his festive sticky launcher, and Chow for his bundle of goodies he gave me, which included the Hustlers hallmark and a bunch of other cool stuff. So cheers guys, really appreciate it. Thanks for watching guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.